perspective, and her hair feels pretty solid. Bye, Lisa. We'll miss you. Okay. So, that is pretty much the gist of it. We'll see what other rules are. Let's see. Flip your drawings more than using your onion skin. Set clear shorthand shapes. So you're not drawing a bunch of details. So like I was saying before, if you were concentrating on the faces, then you'd be sitting there driving yourself crazy trying to in between an eye and then a nose and then a mouth and all this stuff all at the same time. But if you're sitting there, you know, just thinking about this stuff, then when you go to put the eye in, you have landmarks for yourself. In fact, let's do a little bit of that right now. Let's turn these faces on, but I'm going to concentrate on these landmarks I made. Actually, let's see. I'm going to... there we go. Okay. And let's use gray since that's what we're doing. Now, looking at this guy here, I'm looking at this eye. Oops. Looking at this eye to see where it sits in that red triangle. So very lightly. It's probably a little too dark even, but I'll leave it this dark so I know you guys can see it. And then this eye goes in there. We see that this center line goes pretty much to the base of his nose there. He's moving a little bit, so we know we can kind of go into that little V shape. And then there's the nostril there. That goes up. Bridge of his nose. Yeah, I'm really generalizing here. Now, when I'm drawing right now, these details, I'm really only looking at this red triangle compared to that and that. I'm seeing the shapes now. Here I might start to draw the cheeks starting to smile a little bit. I'm not going to get into that personality all that much at the moment. I'm just going to generalize because right now this is really about maintaining your shapes. You can see his eyes starting to open more. I'm going to here his lids down a little bit. They're all the way open. And you can turn your onion skin on. See, but look, you turn your onion skin on, you got a whole mess of stuff going on. It's too confusing. So you could also, if you do turn your onion skin on, turn off the forward view, turn off the backward view. Just look at one, so you can have something for reference. You know his eyebrows are starting to raise up. There you go. Again, I'm generalizing a lot here. And then even still, when you start to do more of the detail, your shorthand, finding your shapes, when you're animating his hair, you say, well, what am I going to animate? The wisps of hair, that's all that stuff. Wisps of hair, secondary animation, that comes later for the most part. If you're really good, you could maybe wing it. But if you're just starting out, you're figuring stuff out to do, give yourself some shapes. It's not showing up very well, that color. Find the shapes in the hair. Even what I'm doing right now is a little too much. Find how that hair is shaped. I'm going to go from the corner right here to the middle, to that corner, and down. So then here, let's see, even here, oops. Let me drag these next to each other. So now I'm going to flip. You notice this whole exercise, I barely turned on the onion skin. I have the light table on, so things are darker and lighter, easier to see. But, so, go from here to the corner. Up to that point, and I'm just looking at this shape. All I'm looking at is this shape while it moves. all I'm looking at the moment. My peripheral vision is looking at the rest of it. And I see this little point here goes a little past that circle. You know, this line coming down bisects that line, the wisp of hair a little bit. It doesn't have to be exact, especially with hair, because it's not stone, it's not plastic, it moves. And you can see here, like, this hair is a little bit bigger, I think. Like if I was to flip back and forth, again, it's all about the flipping. Your eye will see it if you flip fast enough and you're looking in the right spot. You look at this distance here, this distance right here, compared to this distance here, 2, 3, 4 little dots, whereas this one's only about 3 high. So I'm going to lower it a little bit. This is just a guide. Once you have this structure down, and you put your other piece of paper, your other layer down on top of it, then you start playing around. And as you get better and better, you don't even need it. Your eye will just see the shapes. And then now, let's get back to our middle drawing. Oops. There we go. We'll get back to our middle drawing here. Excuse me. Let's see if we can emulate what I just did. So it's a little to the left of the center point. Goes up that way. Now I'm just being real loose and scribbly. I'm going to tie it down in a minute. I'm using my eye. Now I'm looking at this vertical line. I'm looking how it moves. I'm looking at this horizontal line. I'm seeing this vertical line needs to come back a little more. Like that. This goes back. This goes down. And this comes down like that. It's getting a little too big, so I'm going to bring it down. It helps to make noises. Alrighty. Make noises and faces. That's what animators do while they're drawing. So anyway, it does while they're drawing. But when you're animating, you're actually seeing your drawings move. See, I mean, you can even get a little bit more into it if you're having trouble seeing it. You know, again, we're working digitally, so I'll talk about working digitally. Fill it in. Fill that in so your eye follows it easier. So you can see, if you look at the wisp of the hair up here, oops, sorry. If you look at the wisp of the hair up here, it's gonna change size a little bit from drawing to drawing. You know, I'm not being 100% exact. The first drawing and the third drawing are rounder. This should probably be a little more round. I'm going to grab it and pull it up a little. Oops, wrong tool. Grab it and pull it up a little bit. I see in here, this bit in here is a little larger on this drawing than it is here and here, but that's the gist of it. That's the way you keep your shapes consistent. You get your keys down. So in your breakdowns down, so the ones that are the in-betweens you're doing are not so spread out, and your eye has something better, easier to follow. Now, so you don't have to do all these, once this is in your brain, you don't have to do all these shorthand drawings and everything. And if you just want to go forward and you want to just practice and you don't want to get bogged down with all this stuff, or you've done it plenty of times and you feel like you have it, but you still want to make sure, the simplest thing to do, I mean, because everybody gets off base. I saw a pencil test the other day that was this fantastic bit of acting and draftsmanship and everything, but it was from a Disney professional, one of my big, someone I'm a real fan of their work, but the head, they did this shrugging gesture. When the head came up, I noticed it was smaller than it was in the beginning. Now, it wasn't small enough to warrant redoing the whole thing because it was so beautiful, but it was smaller. You just don't always catch it. So, one thing to do is, let's get rid of all the shorthand stuff. Well, let's leave that though. Well, actually, we can't get rid of that. I'll get rid of that. Turn these off. Another thing to do, the simplest thing to do, You know, choose a color, choose black and white, whatever you want. Is mark out your landmarks, your size landmarks, the top of the head, the bottom of the head, and the distance between them, and around where your eyes fall, and around where your mouth falls. Something that simple. Now, when you get back to this drawing here, and let's say all you had was this, back onto this. So I like to make it darker. By grabbing this, turn it off there. On another layer, there's your guide. Right there, you know vaguely where the top of the head is. Put the pivot point up there. Pivot it to the bottom. You don't have to worry about the perspective of the lines. You just find it where the crisscross points are. And you know right here is where the key line is. And right here is where the mouth is. Right? And it hits those lines. So that's where everything's going to be. Now I bet you, let's see how on I am or off. If I put this on this drawing, it's going to be fairly correct. I'm going to put it on the chin. I'm going to grab the pivot point, bring it down there, and pivot it up. Yeah, the mouth is a little higher, because when you smile, your mouth... Oh, I actually got the mouth a little lower. Whatever. He's making a funny face. In general, that's where the mouth goes. That's where the eyes go. And that's where the top of the head goes. If I was really exact, and I just kept this underneath there while I was drawing, so here, let's make this... even lighter. Add another layer. See that there. Let's say I do this again. I'm going to use the actual gray that I usually use. Now my pen is lagging a little bit because using the recording movie on here while I'm drawing with this software is using a lot of memory. So if you see the line go a little straighter than a normal brush stroke, that's probably why. But if I was to, suss this guy out, just in betweening them straightforward, the main shape is not going to get any bigger if I follow this little guide that I did. And you just keep breaking that down, the closer the in-betweens. That's why they're called breakdowns. There's keys, the main poses, breakdowns, the secondary main poses, and then you got your in-betweens. You can always keep making more and more breakdowns. It's really good not to make your breakdowns or even make your breakdowns directly in the center. It's always good to favor one side or the other depending on the action. That's up to you when you understand what spacing and timing is. And your in-betweens can tend to be a little bit more divided in half. You divide between the breakdown and the key in half. That's your next one. And then half those. It's a very even, consistent, but the more something slows down, the more drawings there are in between those. It's not a lesson, but I feel that's the best way to maintain size and consistency with your shapes and proportions. Use your brain, use your eye. All this craziness, it's too much to look at. And you're only going to get bogged down. It's going to take you longer. And I don't particularly find it all that much fun to draw with. There's just too much going on. Now, another little bit here that it is a little useful for, I'll throw another thing down. If I know I do have to go about halfway, right now I can see where the two hands are. Let's say I'm going to want the second drawing's hand, to be a little closer to the third. Again, everything's going to be closer to the third, so I'm going to put that there. I know, here's hand number 1 and here's hand number 2. 1, 2. I'm going to want to go on this arc, let's say. You can just really, really generally, let's say I'm going to want it closer, you know, to 2. This is going to be it's going to be a much faster motion, so I'm going to want to cushion it here. This is where it's going to go. You know, there's that hand. So you can sort of position things out. I'm looking here now at this is where the corner of his rib cage is. You can see it right there. So I can just sort of, actually I wouldn't even do that, it's too much to look at. So that's to place your main shapes. You got your head, you got your hands. That's almost the main shapes in any character. So now, right here, boom, boom, you can sort of see it. Let's watch the head. Boom, boom. Actually, let's get rid of this head here though. Let's go back with the original that I did. I feel we all feel was working for us. Where is it? There we go. That guy. We got that, and we got the hair. Right? Okay. Boom, boom. So let's watch the head. Actually, I want to get rid of that. It's a little distracting, that hair. So let's watch the head. See the head move forward and in, back and in, forward and in, back and in. Now let's watch the hand that's up by his head. Let's watch it go forward, forward and bum, 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 bum. You can see that arc. And then the hand that's down by his hip, it just kind of goes up. It doesn't move much. It goes up. And that's the gist of it. That's the backbone, the in-betweening by flipping. And if you apply these techniques to your animation and in-betweening and all other things, even you know, effects animation, depending on what it is, water, things that are more natural, those shapes change. But if you're in-betweening a fork, a cup, a glass, a car, keep it simple. Get it moving first, and then you go in with your detail. I hope that was helpful. Any questions? Let's see what I got here. Make your size guide. That's what I was saying before about this guy here. Any questions? Leave a comment. Send an email to the Animator Island email and the Drawniversity email. All that information will be in the description below. I hope this helped. I hope you had a good time, and just draw. Take care.